Morning YouTube. Today is June 28th and this is episode 16. I was over at the shop on Saturday, the day after I made episode 15, to try to get the tractor fired up, and I was going to make a grand finale episode 16, except I've been having some really strange issues with this tractor. It's cranking over fine, it seems like. It's not drawing fuel from the carburetor through the manifold and into the cylinders. So I've been doing a lot of research. I've double checked, triple checked episodes 13 and 14 where I showed the crank and cam installation and the Magneto drive installation and the timing marks of the gears, and I can't that's all correct from, I mean, I've watched them over and over and looked at them closely, and it's all correct from what I can see, and the only thing I can think of is either the valves are not set correctly, or it's not drawing because it doesn't have enough suction because there's a lack of oil in the cylinders, or the rings haven't seated to the cylinder sleeves. So I don't know. I'm gonna go over pretty much everything. I'm gonna double check the valve adjustment, double check the timing, which I already did on Saturday. I mean, I looked at the timing over and over again, but I don't know. I'm really perplexed. So when we get over to the shop, I'll plan on making more video of troubleshooting and adjusting valves, and I'll go over when the mag impulse should fire according to the marks on the crankshaft pulley, and we'll go from there. But I just can't seem to figure this out. I've never had this type of a problem before. I've had tractors run with a lack of power because the valves were out of adjustment, but I've never rebuilt a motor and had it not, oh, forgot my seatbelt again, sorry. I've never rebuilt a motor and had it not run. So this is definitely a first for me. And I guess I just really don't know what to do at this point, except for go over everything again. So I don't know. I really hope I don't have to pull the frame and radiator off and pull the front timing cover and check everything over, but if that's what I gotta do, that's what I gotta do. But like I said, episodes 13 and 14, everything seems to be right on the money. You know, the timing marks are lined up perfectly. Number one's at top dead center when all the timing marks are lined up. So I have no idea what this could be, but I'll stop the camera for now, and then we'll continue this when we get back to the shop. All right. Alright guys, we're back here at the tractor, and I've got the valve cover off, the hood off. We're going to work on making sure the valves are set correctly. So I'm going to do cylinder 1. I've already cranked it over to top dead center, and I know that the valve or the camshaft and crankshaft are timed correctly, because as it comes up on top dead center for this, the half stroke before that, the intake valve closes. So I know that that half stroke the upstroke rather, after the intake valve closes, is compression. So I'll crank it over now, and that should be the power stroke, and then we should get our exhaust valve opening. And I was told by one of the members of yesterday's Tractors forums and a guy on YouTube, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry, but I haven't had any sleep today yet. Anyways, we want to set these at 020 cold. I've got them at 018, but I'll reset them all to 020. And we're going to go in the same order as the firing order. So we'll set 1, then we'll set 3, then 4, and 2 last. But I'll crank it over here. So this next half stroke should be our power stroke, and then this exhaust valve should open after that. So there's our exhaust. So it comes up, and then our intake valve should open. So that's our intake stroke. Now we're on our compression stroke. And that trip you heard was top dead center of the compression stroke, which means we should be timed even with the mag, because both our valves are closed. And if you look, there's 2 notches on this pulley. Well, actually there's 3. There's a set of double notches here, and then there's a single notch about halfway around the other side. And the crank rotates in this direction, so towards the clutch side of the tractor. As this first notch of the double notches passes this pointer, you want your mag to trip at that exact point. Okay? And that just happened. And our notch is exactly lined up. So we know our engine's in time. Now, we just have to adjust our valves. So, I've got my feeler gauge here, my 020 feeler gauge. Both these valves are closed, and this one's got a little bit of slack in it, where this one is a little tight. So we'll set them at 020. Let me grab my tools here. And all you need is a 1/2-inch wrench and screwdriver. So we want to insert the screwdriver in the adjustment screw, loosen the lock nut, and then we can turn the adjustment screw in to tighten it. And you want it to be just where the feeler gauge slides, just barely. You don't want it to be pinched in there, but you want it to slide just barely free. So, just like that. Okay, and we always double check it. And it loosened up a little bit for us, so we'll go ahead and just give it a little turn. There we go. So now we'll set the intake valve. That was the exhaust valve. And again, this one's a little tight, so we're going to have to loosen it. And that's about right where we want to be. Okay, so that's how we set our valves. And I'll crank it over another half stroke, and that should put cylinder 3 on the top dead center of compression. And from there it'll be 4, then 2. Alright? Okay, we've got all the valves adjusted. I did take and oil all of these valves with my oiling can. I also forgot to mention I put oil down in the cylinders as well. Hopefully that helps to create a better seal between the rings and the cylinder walls. And I've hooked up the battery. Right now what I'm going to do is crank the engine over without any spark plugs in it to see if I can get any decent oil pressure, and also to get the well, basically to get the oil moving in the engine. So here goes nothing. Alright, we've got pretty decent oil pressure already. Alright, we're going to call that good enough. So next, what I'm going to do is, I think I will put the spark plugs back in, and well, let's see, maybe I'll let me take the intake off the carb. I'll put the spark plugs back in without turning the fuel on, and obviously without connecting the spark plug wires, and I'm going to see what kind of suction we have through the carburetor. So one moment. Okay, next we're going to test the suction through the carb. I've got all the spark plugs in, and theoretically this should try to suck my hand right through into the carb if we've got good vacuum. So we'll go ahead and hit the starter button. And I apologize, it's going to be really loud, so you might want to turn your volume down. I got this camera right above the starter. So 3, 2, 1. Looks like we got plenty of suction. So, oh, the only thing left to try is to add fuel. So let me do that, and we'll see what happens. I guess I could try choking it with my hand instead of the choke valve. Maybe that will draw fuel in better than the choke valve. So let's go ahead and try that. Okay, I've got the gas on. I'm going to try to use the carb this first time, and if that don't work, I've brought a spray bottle, and we'll take the plugs out and spray gas right down in the cylinder, the cylinders rather, and see if that works, if this doesn't work. So here goes. It might run, it might not. Oh. I had to make sure that I had the coil wire attached. Okay, so our gas is on. Everything should be right. We've got smoke coming out of the exhaust. Well, we had one pop. I'm not sure why we're not getting any spark here. We'll try advancing the timing a little. Well, that kind of sounded like that backfire came right out the exhaust pipe. We're getting some pops anyway. I'm not sure what's going on here. can't seem to figure this out. Getting a lot of backfiring, but no starts. Let's try and put some fuel down in the cylinders. Alright, well, my GoPro is having issues again, so I'm going to have to use my cell phone for the rest of this. I figured maybe the mag timing internally was off, so I took that apart and double checked it, and everything seems correct, but we're going to try this again, so let's see what happens. Well, we just shooting flames out the carb now. So I don't think we're on. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here and double check the Magneto again. Okay, well, I don't know what's going on, but I flipped the plug wires around after looking at the timing, and I don't know, I still can't seem to get it. Well, we got something going on. It's running, but I think it's only running on like 2 cylinders. And that I cannot figure out. And there's also a lot of popping coming out of the carburetor, as you can see. It also doesn't have any power because it's, well, seems to be running on only 2 cylinders. for now, though. Well, here it is, grand finale. It's running pretty good. Seems like it's got a slight miss at idle, but she sure's got a lot of power. What it was, believe it or not, because I had some plug wires reversed, but got real good oil pressure. Seems like everything's running good. What do you say we go for a drive? Alright, let me pause the video here and get it off this spot. Alright guys, we're starting off in road gear. Good. Got flat spots in the tires, but those will wear out. Well, it runs pretty good. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's got somewhat of a hiss coming through the exhaust. Seems like on every exhaust stroke, and I'm not sure what that is. I know the muffler has a leak, but I can't seem to figure out where exactly it's coming from. Definitely coming out of the exhaust. Not sure if you guys can hear that or not, but we'll get it fine-tuned. Main thing is it runs, and it runs pretty good. Got a lot of power in fifth gear, that's for sure. Now I just got to change the rear end oil, and there's no noises coming out of the rear end, which is good. I know it needs a brake band on the right side, but seems to be running pretty good. I just got to figure out what that hiss is from, so we'll get it. Hope you guys enjoyed the grand finale and the troubleshooting in this episode. Like I said, it ended up being, well, I think it was a combination of things. I think the Magneto was a little bit out of time as far as the rotor, the gears that drive the rotor, and then the spark plug wires were reversed. I believe it was 2 and 4 were reversed. So that's what we're looking at. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next video. It'll probably be a fine-tuning type of video. Alright, talk to you later.